So the last time we were here, and the last episode, we talked about planning and how important planning was in matters of developing and eventually executing a blueprint. And we today in this particular episode, we want to continue on that. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to have quite an insightful time with Pastor Dotun taking us through that whole process.
Okay, yes, we talked about planning and we said quite a number of things. Of course, you can always go back to the other podcast to be able to have a feel of what we discussed about. But I want to take it further by saying that a lot of times people react and not respond. They react to situations. They say life happens. Taking it further in Nigerian context, they say Nigeria has happened to the person, Nigeria has happened to this person. It may mean something negative, but sometimes it also means something positive. But you see, many times people react. They react. This happens, this will be my reaction to it. That happens, that will be my reaction to it. So what planning does is that it eliminates panic responses. Planning does not allow you to respond in an haphazard manner. Because prior to whatever happened, of course, nobody has an idea of what is going to happen in the next second, not in the next day, not in the future. Nobody has an idea of what is going to happen. But when you have a plan, you have a solid plan, it is even said that it is better to plan and fail than not to plan at all.
Yes.
It is better to plan and for the plan to fail than not to plan at all. What that does to you is that if you plan and you fail, at least you will have learned something. You know exactly what not to do. Yes. It was said about Einstein, about the number of times he conducted an experiment just in the process of trying to find a workable solution. Just one hit. And the number of times, so planning will eliminate panic responses. Many times people respond or react in a haphazard manner. So this happens, and then this will be my response to it. That happens, that will be my response to it. This happens, this will be my response to it. Now, they tell you, for example, in investing, that it is better for you to use the dollar cost averaging than to, try to study the market and try to beat the market. Oh, the market goes up, I sell. The market comes down, I buy, But when you have somebody who has a dollar cost averaging mindset, maybe the guy is just investing $25 or 25,000 naira every month. It doesn't matter whether the market goes up or whether the market goes down. He puts in that specific amount of funds on a consistent basis, on a long-term basis. Now, research has found out that such a person at the end of the day, maybe a 10-year period, maybe a 20-year period, maybe a 50-year period, will outperform somebody who is trying to target and study the market. The market goes up, I sell. The market comes down, I buy. The market goes up, I sell. The market comes down, I buy. You will have short-term successes. But when we are talking about planning, we are not talking about planning in the immediate. There are short-term plans, there are medium-term plans, there are long-term plans. So planning will eliminate panic response. Panic response. How do I respond? My daughter has just been sent out of school because she did not do well. Now, if I had a plan about the future of my children's education, the fact that somebody did not do well now does not mean that I will now have to say, okay, let me look for another school, let me look for this, let me look for that, because I have a structure, I have a plan, I have something in mind. What made me take my children to that school in the first instance? The values have not changed. So that one of my children is not performing well doesn't necessarily mean I have to take the child out of the school. Because the total value system hasn't changed. So I will have to look at it objectively. More holistically, and then see what needs to be done. That's part of what planning does for you. It eliminates panic responses.
So what you are saying, sir, it means that planning allows you not to be reactive, but more for you to be more positioned around being proactive.
Yes, definitely. Because you are not moved by what is happening on the immediate. You cannot go on an ocean liner and expect to have a smooth sail.
More like I've seen this before.
The ship
So
with the
somehow
the sea with
I
the
have all the
boys'
scenarios in mind
Yes,
already, and I just
yes.
move and enter option B.
Definitely. So that's what planning does. It helps you to be able to put things in the proper perspective. It helps you to be able to think long term. The fact that I have a failure right now or a setback right now doesn't mean that I will have to begin all over again. So it's part and parcel of the whole package. So that's what it does. Planning also helps you to streamline. It will help you to streamline your action and help you to avoid distractions. A lot of times, the problem people have is the fact that they are not able to stay on a particular project long enough to be able to see it to a successful end. They hear about this happening here, they hear about that happening here, and then they are rattled. And then they think the next thing I should do, take my hands from this, withdraw my investment from that, change my plan about this, and then go into the next big thing. I'm not saying that those big things don't happen. I'm not saying that those things don't necessarily happen and then you have to position yourself to be right in the right place at the right time. But you see, when you have a solid plan, some of these things will have been factored in. You have contingencies, you have exigencies, you have miscellaneous, that in case something happens, my boat isn't rocked too hard, too badly. I'm still stable. It helps you to avoid distractions. A lot of times people are not where they are supposed to be simply because they are distracted. They are distracted. Distractions from the main focus. If you do not keep your eye on the goal, definitely you are likely to lose the race. Imagine somebody running a 100-meter dash, and then somebody is close on your heels. Definitely, if you're in a race, a 100-meter dash, people will be close on your heels because everybody wants to win. And if you're now looking back to assess the distance between you and your next competition, the tendency for you to slip and fall is very high. But somebody who keeps their eye on the goal, you might be overtaking, but you will still you will still break the tape in a good time, rather better than the person who is looking back. So planning will help you to streamline your life. It will help you to streamline the main thing. It will help you to keep the main thing the main thing. It will help you to focus. The Bible actually talks about the fact that if your eye be single, then your body will be full of light. That means if you have a goal, you have a target, you have an aim, you have a particular thing in mind. Nobody ever digs or mines for diamond on the surface. People get gold on the surface, but the quantity of gold that is mined on the surface cannot be compared to the quantity of gold that will mine deep in the soil. So without focus, the tendency, the probability of success is reduced. Because you go in this direction, you go in that direction, you go in this direction, you go in this direction. There's a proverb in Yoruba that says, a man who pursues two rats will end up catching none. Because you're not focused. So that's why planning is important in the life of every single. And planning, when we talk about planning, we are talking about planning in every strata. We're talking about planning spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, in every single facet of life. Not just that I want to plan my life mentally, I want to plan my life academically, I want to plan my life maritally. It has to be a lifestyle, something you will have to do in every single strata of life. You cannot take one portion of it and say, let me plan this, and then leave the other unplanned.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Have you ever seen someone who succeeds without working? Even when you inherit, people who inherit wealth, if they don't work at it, they will lose it.
Yes.
So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Hard work is part and parcel of the ingredient of success. No matter how much you pray.
Liking planning to like you sharpening your cutlass before approaching the tree.
Definitely. You go on a table, you go on a drawing board, you have a goal in mind, you have resources available, you know the resources that you have, and then you look at the resource and see how can I use the available resource that I have to execute the project at hand to get the desired results.
Okay, sir, a question. So what if you have a resource process, and when I say resource now, I'm talking financial resource, because human capacity can be resource also.
Yeah.
But you are trying to plan, you have human resource somewhere, then you're not looking at it from a financial resource, but it is not as consistent as you probably want it to be. Does that in any way, how does one now work out planning in a way where you cannot totally determine financial resource in this level of consistency, and you have that plan, or you have plans in front of you that you want to execute?
Now people say, and I agree with that totally, people say that ideas are more important than money.
Yeah.
When you have the right idea, that is more important than money. The greatest resource that anybody can have is God. And the greatest asset that any human being can have are people. So when you have God backing you, and then you have the right team of men, and then you have a fantastic idea, I want to let you know that money will pursue value. Finances will pursue value. You will be surprised that the fantastic idea with a fantastic team will attract people who have the material resources, who do not necessarily know what they want to do with it. They are angel investors, for example.
Yeah.
They have the money. They are looking for people who have fantastic, workable ideas that they want to back with their financial resource and ensure that they do not lose the money and they make some money out of it. So it's a win-win situation in that kind of situation. It's a win-win thing. So the most important thing is the vision, the goal, the idea on its own. Once you have a solid idea, and then you are on the drawing board, you have a strategic plan, and you have a good team, a great team of people, because you cannot do it alone.
Yes.
If you have a great team of people, look at, I don't want to, I want to limit myself and not, promote any brand in particular.
Yeah.
But look at startups in this country, for example, in Nigeria. Look at what young people are doing. Look at what they did with Flutterwave. Look at what they did with, Arabelle? Aradel. Look at what they did with that. Look at the ideas that these young people had. You cannot convince me that they had the material resources to implement those plans.
No.
But people who have the material resources, who are not in a position to run after the things these young guys will run after, will look at the plans. They are not dumb. They do not want to lose their money. They will look at the plans. They will see how workable, is this bankable, is this feasible, can we test it on a small scale, and can we see how logical this is. And when they see the passion of these guys doing this, it's easy for them to partner.
Yes.
For example, there was a time I met one guy, middle-aged man, whose strategy then, this was about, I'm talking about something like about 10 years ago. His strategy then was that he wants to look for young people who have the strength, the zeal, and the passion that he doesn't have as much as at that point in time, and then invests in their businesses. He said he was looking at doing something in the neighborhood of 2.5 to 5 million on an annual basis, and he planned to do that for the next 10 years. That was his own retirement strategy. So what he wanted to do was that he wanted to look for young people who had ideas that he felt were workable, were bankable, were going to be profitable, and then bring it on to him, and then he takes like about maybe 25%. equity in their company based on the resource that he's going to provide. They brought the idea, they brought the team of people who are going to work
To implement
it and all that. And then he brings in the part of the resources, and then he takes 25% of the shares of the company, and then they run.
Typical venture funding style.
So I always say to people that honestly, it is not money that is the limiting factor. It is the vision that is the limiting factor. So when you have a plan and there is no money yet to execute it, if you believe long enough in it and you start it on a
Smaller scale.
that is workable, it can always be scaled up. 10%,
Yeah.
20%, 10%, 15%, 10%, 30%, 10%, 50%, and then you scale up gradually and get to where you are going to go.
Yeah. Focus.
Yeah, that's what I believe. That's what I believe. Planning also structures your life. It structures your life. I'm not talking about marriage, but one of the greatest blessings of my life was planning to get married as at the time I got married. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Now, relatively, I wasn't that young. I got married about 33 years ago. I wasn't that young. I got married when I was 26.
That's young now.
For now, but way back then, I wasn't that young. But now, if you talk to somebody and say a 26-year-old person wants to get married, they will say, "What was it looking for?" That wasn't. But for that time,
Yes.
I wasn't too young.
Yeah.
That wasn't too young. So one other thing that planning does is that it structures your life. Planning helps you to structure your life. Now, what I mean by structure is that that is the design of God for man. The man that you are seeing, we are structured. There is a skeletal structure that carries biologically that carries every other thing. I might put on more weight, but the skeleton is there. It's holding things in place. So if for whatever reason I lose a part of my body, the structure is distorted.
Yes.
Planning gives your life structure. Now, I have friends. I still have many of my friends as my friends. Of course, I lost some due to death and all that. But you see, I still have quite a number of my friends. We were friends way back then, and we are still friends up till now. Now, their orientation, their attitude and mindset towards me, then I know. Their mind and orientation towards me now, I also know. I knew what they were saying because we were friends. They said it to my face. Many of them said, "What was I looking for?" They felt
it was so early.
I was being pressured by my girlfriend that we all knew that because our age wasn't too wide apart and all that, she was one that was putting pressure. But that was what I had always wanted to do.
To marry early.
Early
enough.
Early enough. Now, what that did for me personally was that it allowed me to structure my life. I didn't have too much. I didn't have much. I mean, we struggled to stabilize. The first 2-3 years of our marriage wasn't particularly easy or rosy. But these guys were growing in their career. They were, advancing. Some of them picked up jobs in Alton Anderson and all that. Also, I do not have any regrets whatsoever. But one of the things that he did was the fact that there were things that those guys were doing then that they didn't include me because they gave me the consideration of the fact that Dotun is married.
Yes.
Now, somebody who needs money amongst us was not likely to come and meet me in September because the guy will factor it in and say, Dotun has to pay children's school fees. I can go and meet somebody, another friend, who is not married, who doesn't have children. So at the end of the day, he allowed me to be able to focus on the essential. I was able to focus on my marriage. I was able to focus on my wife. I was able to focus on our children. The little that we had then was streamlined towards a particular goal, the success of the marriage entity as a whole.
Success of the
I didn't have the laxity of going to this place or going to that place or going to that place, because I had to consider the fact that
movement.
I had to consider the fact that at the end of the month I had to give my wife a feeding allowance.
Yeah.
I had to take that into consideration. School fees had to be paid and all that.
Rent will be paid.
You see, these things that were done then gave me a head start. Now, I may not be as wealthy as those friends of mine. I may not be as rich as those friends of mine. But right now, I've had an emptiness for close to 10 years. I've had an emptiness for close to 10 years. By the time I was celebrating my 50th birthday, my net was empty.
Wow.
My nest was empty. All the children had left home because, they had graduated. Two of them had graduated because of the fact that they did some courses and all that. So I
that allowed you to focus on a fresh start on other things.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Which most likely these ones have not been able to enter into yet because they are still paying bills.
I have friends up till now who have children that are in the universities. Maybe a year older than me, maybe a year or two. I'm one of the youngest amongst my group of friends. But I have friends who are extremely wealthy and they have children who are still in school.
And something, sir, I noticed, when your age and that timing, it means that the timing that you started to have an empty nest or your university involvement in paying university fees or whatever, universities were still good now, then. But if you consider the person in the university, the children in university now is probably paying private school fees, private university fees, or maybe wanting the child to probably study abroad internationally fully. Because somehow I think that trend of universities not being as the what they call it now, the government university not being as good, or maybe it's just a perception thing, is already very prevalent now. So nearly everybody is moving their children to private universities, and they are paying quite some very steep fees.
Well, whichever way we look at it, it's a general thing. It's a national thing. It's a population thing that goes across. Well, you are not in a position to determine when you will be born and all that. So, there will be people that will be entering the system now, and they will meet the system as it is. So that's, for me, that's not a major thing. But you see, you made a valid point, and that's the fact that there are some things that we did between myself and my wife in the education of our children that if we if we have to do those same things now, it might be a tough call. It might be a tough call. So the advantage it gave us was the fact that, look, we are able to have a head start. And now, while they are still needing to do some things, we can recline our chairs and begin to focus on other things. Focus on, retirement, focus on, legacy, focus on raising grandchildren, and we are still young. So planning gives your life structure. It gives structure. If you plan your business, you know when you are to go in, you know when you are to go out. Now, there was something that happened when I was in Abuja, and I traveled to Abuja for an official thing, and my wife called me when they just finished the meeting, and she told me that she had been appointed the substantive company secretary of the organization she was working with. I congratulated her, and I prayed with her, I prayed for her, and then the next question I asked was, what is your exit plan?
What's your corporate life?
Now that was a wrong question for many people at that point in time. Somebody has just been appointed as in acting capacity, not even substantive, in acting capacity as the company secretary. And then the next question, the closest person to her on earth was asking was, what is your exit plan?
But you were just trying to activate.
Because the truth of the matter is that the moment you come in, you must also take into consideration that you are going to exit.
Go out. Yes. You were activating that mindset.
It is very important. You don't just wake up and say, suddenly my wife suddenly delivered. It was a 9-month journey. You don't just wake up and say, my wife suddenly delivered. Yes. Or are you looking at the first month?
My rent just
expired suddenly. Those things are part and parcel of the things we have to take into consideration. Now, when you break things up into bits and pieces, it helps. They say, how do you eat an elephant? A piece at a time. So that's what planning does. It helps you to structure your life. It helps you to structure your business. It helps you to structure your career. It helps you to structure your education. It helps you to structure everything around you. It doesn't necessarily mean that things will fall into place and fit in according to your plan.
Yeah.
Because man proposes, God disposes. There are many other factors that are responsible. But you see, you already have those columns that you are able to slot them in at the appropriate time. So if you are delayed by a year or two, if you are delayed by 3 or 4, you know, you can make some structural adjustments here and there, and then you still go ahead. So that's one of the major things that planning does. It helps you to structure. It helps you to structure your life. After planning, I say this to people. Now look, no matter how much you plan, no matter how fantastic your plan is, no matter how intelligent your plan is, no matter whatever is feasible, is bankable, is workable, you must get to action.
Yes.
Because planning without action is no job done.
Just a waste of brain.
It is just a waste of brain, a waste of talk, a waste of effort, a waste of resources. So if you plan and you don't get to the point of executing or implementing the plan, you have wasted a lot of time. And many times, what happens is that people become intimidated or overwhelmed by the magnitude of the plan. So all said and done, after planning, after this, after that, you will need to take action. If you have the best of plans, if your plans are so fantastic that they are workable, they are bankable, they are feasible, and you still do not do anything about it, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of resources, a waste of talent, a waste of every single thing. Without action, planning is useless. We have to take action. And I keep encouraging people that when you plan and you get to the point of implementing the plan, your plan should be scalable.
So you start small.
You start small. And then when you test the water and you find out that, okay, it is working, it is productive, it is acceptable by the market and all that, and then you scale it up. From 10%, you can scale it to 15. From 10%, you can scale it to 30. From 10%, you can scale it to 50. Your plan should be scalable. But the important thing is that you must make your plans to work. You must put your plan to the test. You must take action. Without action, there is really no need for any planning, because it's totally waste.
Because in my own business, I run a tech company and a real estate company. Starting small is always that thing that you are advised to do. Especially by the time you are talking to external people, maybe like investors. They'll say, okay, what have you done? Where did you, this grand scale of we are going to $1 billion. How much investment have you done to at least let us test out? Yes, and that's why they say an MVP, the minimum viable product. Okay, so this thing will have 2 million people using it. Does it have 20 people using it right now? If you have 20 people using it right now, can we move it to 40 people? And then you start to, that's why they will ask you, is this scalable every time? So I kind of understand that fact that just start small first.
So every single step in the right direction, it counts. Every single step in the right direction counts. People underestimate what can be achieved in one day and overestimate what can be achieved in 1 year. Because in 1 year, you can go to sleep.
Yes.
In 1 year, you can take a break.
Can be sleeping.
But in 1 day, with an active plan, you know it's almost like life and death. My life depends on this. Every single step in the right direction, it counts. It has been said that compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. And what will make compounding work in planning is consistency. So a little here, a little there, a little here, a little there. It's like building a house. You already have a plan. It's been approved. The architect did a fantastic job. You got engineers and you got a site, they set it out, and then you start building. The block that you put today, if you put them correctly, you will not need to put those same blocks again, ever.
Yes, exactly.
That part of the building is done and dusted. So every other thing that you're going to do subsequently will be an addition to what is already on the ground. So that is why I keep saying that every little step in the right direction, they matter. The Bible actually says, do not despise the day of little beginning. Many times people underestimate what little things can accomplish. I've had a person talk about the fact that, look, I can't start investing until I have this amount of money. Whereas there are people who started investing with as little as 2,000 naira on a consistent basis, on a monthly basis. How much will you invest if you are not stealing, if your total package, your total salary is 25,000 naira? And you have a family of 5, yourself, your wife, and 3 children. How much can you squeeze out of a 25,000 naira salary as a Christian? You will pay your tithe.
Yes.
You are left with 22,500. You will give housekeeping. You have other, recurrent budgets and all that. You will fuel your car. I'm talking about something in the last 28, 29 years ago. You will fuel your car out of it. So if you're able to squeeze out 2,000 naira, you did extremely well.
Well, very well.
From a salary, from
that's
that.
Close to 8%.
You understand? You did extremely well. But you see, that 2,000 naira can be despised by somebody. How much is 2,000 naira? But 2,000 naira over a long period of time,
Yes.
consistently done, will make a
Religiously done.
will make a remarkable difference. So when you take action, the moment you have planned, the moment you take action, every single step in the right direction, every single step, it counts. So you get to the point where you get into the flow, and it is no longer, it has become like habit.
Like,
It has become automatic.
Yes.
It is something that you do without thinking anymore. It is something that you do without causing you pain anymore. 2,000 naira from a salary of 20,000 naira might be difficult at the beginning. But 2,000 naira from a salary of 40,000 naira will not be as difficult. So for you also, you will scale that up. Oh, now that my salary has increased, let me scale up from 2,000 monthly investment to 3,000 naira or 3,500 or 4,000 naira, depending on. But your family is growing, your income is growing, your investment is growing. That is the way things are supposed to be. So not only will planning give you structure, not only will planning help you to focus, planning also will enable you to have direction in your life. You will have a place where you are going. It will give direction.
Have a destination.
There won't be distractions because now you have a structure and you have to build according to the structure. So there won't be distractions. And when you have put everything in place, you have put everything on paper, take action. We're now saying that after taking action, be consistent with it. Every little step subsequently going forward, they matter. It may not make a difference. It may not be significant in the first instance. But you see, over time, it will make a remarkable difference. We have a young grandson. The parents do not think that he's growing as fast as they should. I was like, he hasn't grown. It is because they are seeing him every
on a daily
day.
basis,
But those of us who do not see him every single time, when we see him after a 2-month period, we notice the difference.
Yes.
So when you are telling them like, he has grown taller, they will say, no, which taller? Or he has added weight, they will say, oh, which weight? Because they have not seen it. That is what happens when you are consistent.
Yes.
A little here, a little there. The difference will not be significant. But over time, it will add up.
And after a while, it compounds.
It compounds. And you will get to a stage when everything will boomerang. Well, I don't know, that's not the right word. When everything will balloon out of proportion.
Yes.
Everything will just get out of hand. It will be as if you are not putting anything in and there's still so much coming out.
Yes.
Now, this is a result of consistent action over a long stretch of time. So we cannot emphasize the importance of planning in the success of any venture. We cannot overemphasize the importance of planning in the success of any life. So without it, life becomes haphazard. You just react. This happens, you react to it. That happens, you react to it.
And so you won't have any critical mass.
There won't be. There won't be. It will be like a rolling stone that they told us when we were in primary school. A rolling stone gathers no moss, because you turn in this direction, you turn in that direction, you turn in that direction, you turn in that direction. At the end of the day, there is nothing to show for it. But if you are facing a particular direction and you face it consistently over a stretch of time, you will discover that the result will be evident. The result will be obvious, and it will be rewarding even for the person who plans.
Wow, this has been so insightful. I think the idea that I get out of this is how much good planning does across board.
Yeah.
You know, because most of the time when you hear planning, it's as if it's in a management meeting. Most of the time, it's time to plan, it's time to budget. But here, you've been able to kind of help us to hear planning in how it happens, in how it matters in the area of health, hear planning in how it happens to matter of balance of life, hear planning from an angle of how it supports your marriage and your home, and that whole generalistic overview to planning as, I don't know what word to use now, whether to use it as a tool or as an action that allows you to eventually land where you want to land. Especially when you are focused, when you are disciplined, when you are consistent, and of course, as you said, when you have a plan. Because if you are consistent, you are disciplined, you are passionate, but there is no plan, it's probably just a spark that just happens, and eventually. Thank you so much, Pastor, for...
I see it basically as a major ingredient. That's the word I would prefer to use.
Yes.
A major ingredient to success. Without it, success will not be realized, might not be realizable. You know, it could just, because there is chance and there is luck. Somebody might just hit it big without planning, you know, so things like that do happen. But you see, the person who plans is likely, has a greater tendency of succeeding than the person who doesn't plan. On a final note, I want to say this and add this to the podcast in saying that for success, every single one will need to survive in order to thrive. That critical aspect of life is missing in so many areas. You will need to survive.
You need to survive, biologically survive. Be breathing
in order to thrive.
Be able to thrive.
People want to thrive, but they forget about the fact that they will survive first. And this is the analogy I want to use. And that analogy is the analogy of transplanting from nursery to the plantation. You raise cocoa seedling, you raise oil palm seedling in a nursery where they are shaded, protected, and you expose them to the vagaries of the environment where there is sun and all that. It's likely to die, but they will shed their leaves. There will be less transpiration. There will be less breathing. The tree will not breathe as much as it should because it has shed its leaves. It's a survival strategy because it knows that it is going into a new environment. And what is critical is for the roots to be in a position to draw water. So if the plant doesn't shed leaves, it will totally die. So we need to take that into consideration. For us to succeed, we will need to survive in order to thrive.
This will most likely become the next podcast, Survive to Try. Thank you, everyone. See you on the next episode.
God bless you.